Hello. I wanted to talk about a project that I whipped up for the Week 8 discussion, which is related to utilizing APIs in PowerShell in a cybersecurity context. For my project, I wanted to utilize a API from a website called VirusTotal that will allow you to upload files, URLs, and other things to check for whether or not they are malicious. And I looked, and it's got APIs. And getting the key was pretty simple enough, so I figured it'd be a good test subject for the project. So first, I made an account, and when doing so, you can get your API key very easily here. It's just a long string of numbers and such. And then I went into their API documentation, and I found something that seemed easy enough to do, and that's to get a file report. And this is something that a service that VirusTotal offers, where it takes a hash of the file and it searches a database of lots and lots of companies and stuff that and then cross checks it to see if anyone has detected it as being malicious or not. So what's good about this API is that it gives you a framework to use right here, and you can tell them what kind of language you want to use. I chose PowerShell, and it tells you right here, just basically copy that right into your script, and it adds a header to accept JSON files, and accepts a key and accepts a hash. This is right here, and it says it returns a file object. Well, you can try the code right here in this window, and what it returns to you is a JSON file. And so there's a lot of information here. But the information that I found really relevant and kind of easy to grab is this reputation attribute. And this is the file object attributes here. Reputation, a file score calculator from all votes posted by the VirusTotal community. So I thought if there was any single metric that you could query that would give you like the overall essence of all of this information, I feel like this reputation integer is pretty much there. And it said the reputation is sometimes vote on files, blah blah blah. Negative scores indicate maliciousness, positive scores indicate harmlessness. The higher the absolute number, the more that you may trust a given score. So I thought, okay, well, that's cool. So implementing this API is pretty simple. So I pulled up my script, and I'm going to run y'all through it real quick. Now, first, I load in my API key. Now, in the context of cybersecurity, you notice the key is not here in the source code. I actually have it as an environment variable. Now, that is because if this script were to be distributed, it would put the onus on the user to go to the VirusTotal website, get their own API key, and install it as an environment variable with this name, VT API key. And on Windows, that's done simply by going into the settings, advanced system settings, and environment variables here in this box. And there's the variable right here. This isn't the whole key, but I do have the whole key in there, but it's not showing it all. And you can just add that variable in, and it's all good and fine. This is considered more secure for a couple of reasons. I can show an example of a very unsecure usage of API keys that I've made before. So then you test to see, if the API key is actually found. If it's not, it puts up an error and exits. Now it asks the host for a file path, and it tests that file path. And so this is you uploading the file. Well, first you have to get the hash. That's indicated in the documentation for the scanner. And we get that file hash. We use this command let to do it based on MD5 hashing algorithm. And once you get back that object, it has several properties in it, so we just want the hash property. Here's the URL indicated from the documentation, and then we add our get hash variable into that, and then we make a header dictionary. This @ symbol and the two curly brackets is the creation of a dictionary. And then you could just make the whole dictionary at once, or you can make an empty dictionary and use the add method of that dictionary to add in different things. And that's, that's what the documentation had. That's the copy paste code. And so we input the URL variable, method get, headers, blah, blah, blah. I had it sleep for just a sec. I don't know if this is actually necessary. It may not be, but on some, if you have a slower internet connection, it might take a second to invoke that web request, so I just had it sleep for a second. Now the problem is that you get back this JSON file and you have to convert it. I was having a lot of trouble with this because if you just try to go straight to the attribute of the object without converting it, it doesn't give you anything. So we take that response and we convert it from the JSON by piping the response into that commandlet, and then we can reference its attribute right here. And we want is and the dogs are barking. So this is based on this input we got back. You see, your overarching attribute is called data, and then you have attributes, and then you can tell by the fact that it's tabbed down, And then further down into the attributes section, we have reputation. So that's how we know the structure on how to grab it. So then we're going to print the reputation, and based on the information given to me in the documentation, bigger numbers are more trustworthy. Objects of 0 are they're kind of sus, Less than 0, totally not cool, totally not safe. And that is the basic implementation. So let's run it on a couple of files, and I called it the scanner. So we're going to enter the file path. I made a little test document here, and it's going to read the web response, and it says the file is good to go. And bring that into the window here. But it gives you the raw reputation parameter there, so that you can judge that however you want. Now let's run it on another file that I know isn't I made it. I know that it's not malicious, but it pulls up some red flags on my my installed Microsoft security stuff, and I've had to make exceptions and everything for it. So I know that it runs up, So let's put that in. Oh wait, hang on. Crap. In some instances, you have to put single quotes around directories that have spaces, but in this one you don't. So okay. So we'll scan that, and it's has a reputation of 0. So the file is kind of sus. So we can do with that what we will. And that is basically all it is. That's going to be this project right here.